Hey, what is going on, YouTube? Back again, and we're late. Unfortunately, we had some stuff come up this week. I had a wedding.
No, you had some stuff come up.
We could have done it yesterday, but you had kids soccer, all right? But back today with Nick, and we have our special guest here today, Chad. He's going to be joining us for the whole episode. We're going to have a different
Yeah.
segment on this episode, so stay tuned. We're actually going to run through the leagues really quickly because everyone knows how they did. Week 7 has already started already. We had our first game last night with the Saints versus the Cardinals. So yeah, let's go, baby, go Cardinals. But go ahead, Nick, and take it away with the start of the Capital League.
Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and not gonna pull up the screen because we're just gonna rush through these ones, man. So we can get to that segment. I think it's gonna be really cool later. That's why Chad's here. Set it all up, a little stud.
Back
All
at
right,
it.
so
Hey,
this week I did go 1-3. How did you do before I go into this?
I went 1-2.
Oof.
Yeah, 1-2.
you
I
hate
knew
to see it.
last week on the podcast. I knew I was going to have two tough games. Two tough matchups this week. I knew my team wasn't going to score as much because I had a lot of my people on buys. So my buys hit me early, so that's good. But I knew I was going to have a rough week. I scored about 98 points in one league and then 110 in the other. So it was not a good week. What about
Okay,
you,
I
Chad?
got
How'd you go?
Oof, yeah. It wasn't a good week. It wasn't a good week. My entire team underperformed. I made some decisions that worked out in the opposite of my favor. Where if I had made other decisions, it would have, worked out in my favor. It was just one of those. I honestly, between this week and last week, I'm just like entering this like weird 2 week stretch where I didn't feel like my team was going to be super strong. I thought last week that my team could have been stronger, but is what it is. But this week I went into this week knowing that I was probably going to struggle. I was expecting this week and next week also to be rough weeks, and then I feel like I should sort of like in terms of my roster stabilize that, which is fine. All that I care about at the end of the day is just making it to the playoffs.
Exactly. So
And like seeding really doesn't matter. I mean, it's like it hasn't mattered what seed I've landed in. I lose in the semifinals every year. It's the same. It's the same.
we know.
we know. The podcast definitely knows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone that's watched anything knows that you suck.
In the semifinals.
No, just in general.
Yeah, just
Okay.
just a fantasy football manager
Yeah.
postseason. Or what are you, the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yikes!
Hi, Justin.
All right, so I'm gonna start Capital League. I scored a whopping 73 points.
Let's go. 73 points for the win.
Yeah. I think I was far. I think the next closest is 85. So, I ended up losing to Gracie, who could care less about fantasy football, who was on Losers Island with me and left me in the dust. So that's great. You had Lorenzo beating Juan, crushed him, 136-99. Michael continues to win. He's on a 2-game win streak. He beat Odell squad, Adrian. Jason beat Luis last week, and I actually played Jason this week. I'll go into it next week because I got a lot to say about that. Willie Team Banditos continues his streak. He's still 6-0. He's just going off, and he beat Kim.
Oh, Kim's having my luck right now because after we've cursed her.
Luck. You have wins in everything. I'm like 1 win, 1 win, 1 win.
I'm on a 3-game losing streak. All right, it's rough out here for a pimp.
In Toxic League?
Yeah, in Toxic League.
You hate to see it.
Salatha lost again, which, as we know, makes sense since she gave away T. Higgins and St. Brown. She lost to Dan and Karen, who I beat last week. And then Amy, who gave up Swift, dropped them on the waiver wire, ended up beating Alexis on Team Chicken Nuggets.
Okay. So she dropped Swift, but I think it's her second win in a row, correct? Because
No,
she lost last week.
Oh yes, no, she did.
Yeah, so Oh dang! Look at that!
Mhm.
Look at that! Drop Swift and her team got better. Who would have thought?
If
But
she wins the championship, does it become dinosaur nuggets instead of chicken nuggets?
Yeah. Chicken
Team Dino
stars,
Nuggets.
Dino Nuggets. You love to see it. But congratulations to all the winners in that league. Let's go over the Toxic League real quick. I went up against Jonah. I had an underperforming week. I had 98 points in this league. He blew me out, went for 145, but he's got some buys coming up. He's currently on a 2-game winning streak. I'm currently on a 3-game loss streak. So he's definitely stepped it up. Whereas my team now got D Hop back. So I'm looking to turn it around. So I'm a little happy. But then we had Justin taking down Gabe. Not a surprise because Gabe is absolutely terrible. He tried to draft on Yahoo and he's currently 0-6. Justin's on a 5-game winning streak. So after we called him out, he's been showing up. So I mean, congratulations.
Gotta give the man credit.
J Ray take down Chad. So Chad's second loss. He's currently sitting at 4-2. So he's still solid. He's right up there in the top. J Ray got his second win of the season. Thumb in the Bum, which I believe is Chris, lost to Georgie this week. Georgie's actually sitting 4-2 as well. My current opponent this week. So hopefully I can take him down. And then the disappointments, which is Renee, took on Pete, and this one was interesting. He scored 94 for the win, and Pete scored only 81 points. So
That's still more than me.
yeah, Pete had a rough week, but he's still sitting at 3-3. But I mean, besides one person that's winless in this league, everybody's like right on the cusp of like 1 to 2 games back. So it's kind of, this league's shaping up a lot more competitive than it was last year for sure.
Absolutely.
But it's good to see. You love to see it, and that's pretty much it. Do you have any comments about your loss, Chad?
No, I mean, it was just a rough loss. I mean, honestly, like I'm in a tough bind right now because Najee Harris has been underperforming. Ezekiel Elliott is not consistent. Um, and I lost Cordell Patterson to he's hurt so he's out for a few more weeks. I just Jeff Wilson is irrelevant now. It's been rough in my running back situation.
Everyone.
Truthfully, I'm 4-2. Yeah, it is everyone. I have been blessed because I have Josh Allen and Cooper Kupp. I mean, that's really what is carrying my team right now. So they're both on bye weeks this week. So
Yeah,
I'm literally losing both of them this week.
Yeah, it's gonna be a rough week for you for sure because they've been definitely like the majority of point scorers for your team. I was looking at your running back situation and it is looking rough. So I mean, I have some extra running backs. So I mean, if you want to, send a trade over my way, just let me know. We can do it on the podcast. Send if you I got a few extra running backs. That's my running backs have been staying healthy, which is good. But let me know because I got D Hop. I'm happy with my wide receiver core. Maybe I can, we can work something out, Chad, if you need some running backs. But go ahead.
We'll chat.
Go ahead, Nick, and take us to the Rigid League.
Alrighty. Lost again. So what's funny is actually you talked about Cordell Patterson still being injured. Someone dropped him in the Rigid League, and I ended up picking him up, and we have IR slots. So I dropped a player, put him in the IR, picked him back up. Amazing. So now I've got him for when he comes back. So that's freaking awesome.
Excellent pickup. When he's healthy, the dude is no joke, a 20-point a game guy, and that offense is designed for his strengths.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I drafted him this year. I was just like, they gave him 2 years. I think I talked about this the last time I was on, like my whole reasoning for it. Like, it's unfortunate he's hurt, but going into crunch time, if he can stay healthy, yeah, he's actually a weapon in your lineup. Honestly, he's very consistent.
So we'll see what happens when he comes back. But I lost again in Rigid League. I lost to Jordan, who was 2-4. Both losses that I've mentioned thus far have come down to Mike Williams on Monday night. I was down 15 points and 20 points, and all I needed was Mike Williams to go off, and he got me, 3 points?
Hmm.
Something like that. So both leagues, I lost with Mike Williams on Monday night.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was less than happy with it. He is my disappointment of the week. So I'll get into that later. I'll repeat it. KC Chick lost to Hooligans. That's Chuck. It was he kind of whooped her ass. So Robert, working from Mahomes, lost to Brad. Quality Matters, MFers. That was also, all these games are pretty much like crushing the other teams besides this one. Steve lost to Brandon. Brandon, I believe, is now on a 5-game win streak. He started out 0-1 and now he's 5-1, and he's making the right moves.
Right.
He's doing what he needs to do. So yeah, it's
Congratulations,
always great.
Brandon.
It's
Yeah.
always great to see when people actually do that. Ben, Commissioner, lost to 0-17. DJ, fairly close, 112-135. And then Isaac is now still on Losers Island, 0-6. Rough season.
Rough.
Rough season. So, I mean, he's got
Yikes.
decent players. I mean, he's got Singletary, Harris, Godwin, Metcalf, Conklin, Pickens. Like, he's got a decent team. He had Swift, Lazard, Thielen, but they're just not performing on
Yeah.
the same weeks, and it's killing him.
Oh, for
But
sure.
he loses to Dangle Daddy 101-171.
Yeah.
Dangle Daddy's just continuing to.
Yeah, his team is popping off week to week.
Daddy's dangling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's rough. It's rough in this league. I mean, it's a 14-man league, but I'm still as of right now. I'm 13th out of 14th, but I mean, I've got more points than 11th place. I've got more points than 10th place. So I mean, one win with the right people losing can shoot me up 4 or 5 spots. So it's like you got a big chunk up here and a big chunk down here, and nothing really dangling in the middle. So
No, Daddy's only dangling.
yeah, Daddy's the only one dangling. but that's all I got for this league.
Okay. Well, congratulations to all the winners. Hopefully the loser can get off Losers Island.
Sorry, Isaac.
You hate to see 0-6s. Gabe calling you out. But eventually they could get their wins. And talking about wins, we're going to our next league, Easy Dubs at work. I want to start off congratulating Matt for getting his first win of the season, baby.
Hey.
His team had
Let's go.
a pop off week too. He had 149 points scored, so not bad at all. I mean, Theo had a great week too. He had 125 scored. So, but Matt's for his first win, you love to see it. And the Phillies still won. I mean, because he thought it was a curse. Like he's like, as long as I lose in fantasy, I don't care. As long as Phillies keep winning. So he actually won, and Philly won. So he's really happy. I lost in this league. Currently sitting at 4-2. I lost to Bloss, currently sitting at 3-3. I knew this was going to be a rough week. I still managed to score 106 points, but he took me out 136. Isaiah had a decent week. He had 132 after his loss to me last week. He took down Chris with only scoring 103. Then we have Nat pulling out a victory. 99 points, right? And she got 99 points. She beat Ryan, who only scored 83 points this week. So she's currently on a 4-game win streak, sitting at 5-1, first in the league. But that's a rough week right there. So we'll see if she has another rough week and someone can take her down. But then we have an even rougher week for We Dem Boys playing against We Dem Boys. What happened, Nick?
You want to talk about it?
I need to go to therapy for that one. It was honestly just an insanely rough week. 77 points. I mean, Herbert underperforming, Dylan underperforming, Mike Evans underperforming, Higbee got me 1.7, Marquise Brown got hurt, Buccaneers defense shit the bed. So
Yeah, just a
It
rough week.
hurts.
I mean, we did make that trade last week. You didn't have Jacobs already because he had a bye week last week, but I took Swift and Waddle, and you got Chris Godwin and Josh Jacobs. In that,
And Godwin popped off. Godwin did better than Waddle did, I think, by a point or two.
just by a point or two.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really expecting much from Waddle until Tua comes back. So to him give me 16 points with Bridgewater as a quarterback, I'm pretty happy about that. Just shows, I mean, he still got it. You know, he still got it. So
But you got to watch out because this week I got Jacobs coming back, I got Taylor coming back, I got T. Higgins coming back, I got my normal kicker who actually scores points, Carlson. So
you're expecting a big week this week. I mean, I'm expecting a big weekend this week too because I mean, I have D Hop coming off of waivers. I have a strong core of wide receivers. Justin Jefferson is out this week, but I mean, it's fine because I have a replacement for him this week with D Hop. I got Jalen Waddle. I feel really comfortable this week going into even with Justin Jefferson sitting. So I'm a lot happier now. I was down bad these last 2 weeks, but I'm a lot happier now. But yeah, that's pretty much the Easy Dubs League. If you want to head over to the Crazy Points League, we could go over that real quick.
Yep, got it right here. So I am now 5-1. Every week when I say, yeah, I went 1-3, I went 1-3, I went 1-3. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. So I beat Ryan, who is 1-5 in this league, 540 to 880. I want it to be noted that oh yeah, it's this crazy league.
Yeah, the
If you
points
haven't
points
watched-
are insane in this league.
Yeah, but no. So I know that you scored 880 points in the league. Is that?
I think that's my lowest in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's kind of low.
I thought that would.
It's like every rushing yard is a point. Every passing, like receiving yard, is a point. Passing yards are 2 points.
Point.
Yeah, 2 yards per point. So it is definitely skewed. But like kickers, I mean, if they score a 50-yard field goal, that's 60 points right there. So like the points are skewed, but I mean, if they miss a 50-yard field goal, that's minus 60.
50.
Yeah, that's minus 60 points.
Or negative 60.
Yeah, so like it's definitely it's crazy point system. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy leagues are fun though.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. All right, go ahead.
We'll get another one next season. We might get 2 of these crazy leagues go, and then you might be on the inaugural season of everything's set already. Everything's been tried and tested. So we'll have to get you in on one of those.
Oh, I'm down.
All right, so yeah, I crushed Ryan. Now I'm leading the league. So I just want to throw that out there. Hey, if I gotta be in shit pile and shit pile, I want to at least mention that I'm leading a league. Yeah.
Hit him with a little flex. Hit him with a little flex. Just real quick.
Matt losing in a close one to none other, 822 to 832.
Yeah, I squeezed it out.
10 yards. And I think it was who did it for you? I think was it Eckler on Monday night?
Yeah, Eckler on Monday night gave me a crazy amount of yards, which
he gave you 99 points.
Yeah, and
it just
slid by. But I mean, Matt's the only person I beat in this league. I'm sitting at 2-4 because it's only a 6-man league. So this is the second time facing him. The first time we faced, it was a close matchup. Like I scored over 1,000, he scored over 1,000, and like he's currently sitting at 3-3, and 2 of his losses are to me. So I can't beat anybody else in this league but Matt. So let's see how that goes.
So yeah, that seems to be the average. I mean, I got 880. You guys got 822, 832, which puts Chris and Natalie's game. Natalie just barely lost 764 to 772. Herbert actually didn't do too bad for her. Herbert got 117 on Monday night, but he just didn't get that extra 16 passing yards or 9 rushing yards, something like that. She was mad. She was yelling at the TV. I thought she might break it at one point. So
yeah, I mean, especially when you're trying to chase someone down like that, because Chris had an early lead going into that Monday night game, and she got super close, and that's rough.
Well, the thing is Chris scored 3 points more than he was projected. She scored 59 points more than projected. So, I mean, she came up quite a bit on it, but not enough.
Not enough. Not enough. Get better, Natalie.
Get better, Natalie.
But that should conclude everyone's week this week. We ran through it pretty quickly because
Sorry, guys.
we wanted to go through. It's pretty much mid-year, almost ish. So we wanted to go into a segment. Chad actually brought this up to us, and we're gonna go over the top 10 fantasy players per position and pretty much give our thoughts about it. So let me go ahead and pull this up so you guys can see it as well. Let's see.
Because trying to bring it up on mine too.
Yeah.
You want to start with quarterback?
So
Yeah, start with quarterback.
real quick, it's actually top 9.
Okay, top 9. Yeah. Close enough. Close enough.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to let you know.
Yeah. So it should be up on screen now for you guys at home. But go ahead. We're starting off with the quarterbacks. So whoever wants to dive in first.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead, Chad.
No, I'll start it off. So came with a couple of quick topics for this, and just wanted to kind of just go through this is through 6 weeks, minus the Cardinals. This is including their game from yesterday.
Yeah,
so
as you can
just
see,
an FYI,
Kyler
that
Murray
counts.
dropped up or went up 1 spot. So.
Yeah, he went up 1 spot. But I mean, I think
Yeah,
he's secured in that spot. I mean, I don't see Geno Smith doing more than 20 and Herbert doing more than like 27. So I think he'll still sit in 6th place when the week's over.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, he's going to hover right in that same area there. So, all right. So the first question is the biggest surprise on the list, and so looking at this, I'm pretty confident everyone's going to say the same thing here. I mean, it's got to be Geno Smith.
Geno Smith for sure.
Yeah,
across the board,
especially the reason is I mean, like, Russell Wilson went over to the Broncos, and it's like, man, they look horrific. And then you see the Seahawks, and you see Geno Smith looking like Russell Wilson 3 years ago out there, and you're just like, holy shit! Like this, Geno Smith was a top, I think, 5 overall pick when the Jets drafted him. So it's not like he was. No, he might have been drafted a little higher than that actually, but it's not like he was like a nobody. He was a 1st-round draft pick. And it's just, I don't know. It's just crazy to see him. It's just crazy to see him back up.
Oh yeah.
What is he? Number 7? I mean, like, it's crazy. So on this list, the most likely to sustain. I mean, I gotta pick my quarterback, Josh Allen. I mean, this dude just every single game continues to be a 25+ point guy. It's so incredibly consistent. It's almost freakish. The most likely to drop in ranking, for me, there's a couple of ones that I could put on here, but for me, the answer there is Jalen Hurts. I think that the Eagles are going to slow down a tiny bit as the season goes. So I think that you're going to see Jalen start to come down a little bit. And the most likely to rise in ranking, I think, is Joe Burrow. I think that the Bengals are going to start catching fire, and we're going to see a ton of offense come to that. Well, for that team, we started to see it last week, anyways. I think that was just like the beginning of it. Like, we all know Burrow and Chase and Higgins and Boyd can all ball out there, so I think we're going to really start to see that attack start happening that we saw from them last season when they started getting hot. They did the same thing last season.
Yeah, definitely.
They really started turning it on towards the second half of the season. So I expect the same thing from them again.
Oh yeah.
So
solid.
All right.
Adam.
Yeah. So I will go with. I mean, biggest surprise on each lead. We all gonna go across the board with Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Most likely to sustain. I'm gonna go with. I mean, Josh Allen definitely. He's like the number 1 guy, obviously. But I think Lamar Jackson. He's had a couple rough weeks, but I think he's gonna just bounce back. And I mean, him and Mark Andrews. If he just threw the ball to Mark Andrews like Kyler Murray threw it to D Hop. Like they're fine. Like he's
Yep.
gonna get those points. It's ridiculous like the connection they have together. So I think it's definitely possible that he's gonna stay right at number 2, if not maybe even creep into number 1 spot. But it's gonna be tough because Josh Allen, the way he's slinging the ball is insane. Most likely to drop in ranking, I have to go with probably Justin Herbert. I mean, I don't see the connection he had last year as like with his receivers and like his tight end. Yeah, he's doing decent, but I just don't think the Chargers are that good this year. They have a really tough division. They have a lot of their divisions games still left, so I don't see him like breaking out and like getting like staying in this list, especially with how well other quarterbacks are playing. And like Dak Prescott is coming back, so like he is a chance he can bump himself up on the list. But there's a lot of other quarterbacks that have better opportunities, I think, than Justin Herbert does. Even though I think he's a phenomenal quarterback, I just don't think he's going to be that fantasy relevant going down the line. Um, Most likely to rise in ranking. I'm with you on Joe Burrow. I think he started. I mean, last year he started the season as I'm pretty sure a backup on my fantasy football team, and then towards the end of the season, I was just playing him every week because his connection with his receivers is insane. And now that they're
Yep.
all healthy and good to go, like, and then the offense line seems to be figuring it out. Joe Mixon is figuring it out, so like his dump offs to him, and it's like Joe Burrow. I feel like he's gonna be top 3 at the end of the season. So I mean that's my big. I mean that's pretty much where I'm sitting at right now as far as quarterbacks go.
All right, all right. We're all a little bit different, and that's great. Most likely to sustain. Honestly, I have to say Lamar Jackson because he has to. He has no other choice. If he does not sustain, they lose. I mean, and most of these other quarterbacks, they can get a little bit worse, and they'll still win some games because they have enough threat everywhere. Lamar does not have enough. I mean, he's got a banged up backfield. He's got a banged up wide receiver core is esque. They're so really. I think he needs to sustain, but I don't see him getting a whole lot better than he already is. Most likely to drop in this, I have to agree. Justin Herbert. Week 1, I called him out for MVP of the season, if you remember,
Yep.
and I'm eating those fucking words. He is just killing me. Especially, I picked him up for that reason. I thought he was gonna have a season kind of like last season, and he was just gonna go off the rails, and it just did not happen. And it makes me so mad. And off of this list, rise. I agree with you. I think Dak Prescott's going to rise this list, but he's not on here, so we have to keep going. And I'm going to say Joe Burrow as well.
Joe Burrow.
I
Yeah.
just think they're going to make a run second half of the season. They're going to really go off. But I see Mahomes also getting better if they can land OBJ.
Well, I think he didn't pass his psychological test in KC, so I think there was already talks for him going somewhere else. But I know they were super interested in him.
I thought it was between Buffalo and Kansas City, so either one, I think he'd make more of an impact in Kansas City
Oh no,
because they don't
definitely.
have. And I'm really hoping that he goes there with Mahomes because I'd love to see that. And it kind of, it would definitely help them because what they got Smith-Schuster other than Kelsey.
Yeah, pretty much, and like McCole Hardman and stuff like that. Their wide receiver core is almost as bad as Baltimore's, and
Which is
that's
crazy.
just saying a lot.
Because you see someone like Mahomes and the top tier quarterback, and you're not going, I need one of those receivers, and that just blows my mind.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, on that team right now, if you don't have Kelsey, you don't play any of the other receivers at this point.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah, but I totally agree. I see Mahomes getting up there if they get Odell for
Oh yeah.
sure. I mean, he's already up there, and he's literally just chucking the ball to Travis Kelsey, which is
Right.
insane. But yeah, I mean, I think we're all pretty much we're a little bit different, but all pretty much
Yeah.
on the same page. Let's switch over
Yep.
here to the running backs. We have Austin Eckler at number one, Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb. We got Christian McCaffrey, who just got traded to the 49ers. We got big playoff Lenny in fifth spot. We got Brees Hall in sixth, Josh Jacobs in seventh, Derrick Henry in eighth, and Rashad Stevenson. Right, is his
Yep.
first name Rashad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yep. So let's take it away, Nick. You could go ahead and start with the running back core.
Right. So Brees Hall. I didn't call that at the beginning. I don't know of anybody who really is like, okay, this guy, this is the freaking guy. I think he's the
No,
one.
it was Michael Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone
yeah.
thought Michael Carter.
So biggest
Yeah.
surprise on this list for me, Hall. Most likely to sustain. Honestly, I think it's got to be Eckler. He's been going off. He's the only thing they really got over there. They need him. I mean, his points are going to go slightly down with Keenan Allen, but I don't think by much.
Nah.
I honestly don't think by much. Most likely to drop. I don't think Stevenson belongs on this. Honestly, I don't think he belongs where he's at. I think that's a fluke. So I think he's going to drop off this list fairly soon. But you never know. I could be wrong. And to rise, this one's the hardest one for me. I was looking at this earlier. It might be McCaffrey. I think what they got over in San Fran, I think it might happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally possible as long as he can stay healthy. I mean, he already has problems staying healthy, and then 49ers are like cursed with their running backs to just get injured every year. So if he could stay healthy, I could definitely see him like rise up as well.
I think this is going to look like a few years ago with Barkley and McCaffrey back up where they belonged, where they weren't the last two seasons because of injuries.
Oh yeah, definitely. What about
Well
you, Chad?
said. I agree. All right, so I think that the biggest surprise is Brees Hall. This kid the last
Yeah,
couple weeks
I think
has
we're
been
all like
crazy.
on the same page with that one.
Yeah, like I feel like we can just almost skip over that question. Like like Nick said it perfectly. Literally nobody saw that. There's not one person in any world that can say this. They saw that. Mostly. Ooh. Adam, take over for a second.
No, you're good. So I mean, yeah, Brees Hall. Everyone kind of realized that, like, holy shit, like, it's shocking that he's doing so well. But I did want to take into account like the points from 7 to 9 are like super close. I mean, even six to 9 are super close. So there's a lot of running backs in the league right now that have been dealing with injury, been dealing with a lot of things, and I'm sure are already still at that bubble. So I feel like next week it's almost going to be a completely different list from 6 to 12 or 6 to 9. I feel like there's a couple guys in here that don't really belong in here currently, like Stevenson. I don't think Jacobs belongs in there because he's had 2 good games. Other than that, it's been a mid-season. So like I feel like one good game from from a running back that's coming back off an injury is going to bump him right up to the top of the list, just because how close this running back list is in points wise.
Yep.
But
their points are low. Their points are low too. It's not even like it's like give them like 4 or 5 good weeks in a row if they have like 40, 50 points and they'll just be right back in the swing of things.
Yeah, so I feel like by the end of this season, this list is going to more stabilize towards like the guys we knew that were studs, especially because a lot of running backs this year have been dealing with injuries. But
Yeah.
I think the most likely to sustain is Eckler as well. I mean, he proved it last year. He was a top 5 running back last year. He's sitting at number 1 right now, and he's got a good margin ahead of everybody. He's got 14 points on Saquon, who is also doing great. But like, if you look at the list, I mean, it's 50-point deficit from first to ninth, and that's not just 1 week of playing out of your mind. That's a couple weeks
No.
of playing out of your mind to even catch Eckler. So I think he's going to be sustained up there for a
Yeah.
while. Most likely to drop in ranking. I can. Oh man, it's rough to say, but I see Nick Chubb dropping in ranking for sure. Just because he splits the backs over there so much at the Browns, and they're just not doing that well. So I mean, I don't see him sustaining up there, especially with, like I said, a lot of running backs in the league starting to step it up now that teams are having to run. They're getting more healthy, and so I see him dropping down in the ranks. I rising up. Um, I mean, the ones I'm surprised that's not on this list that I believe was previously is Aaron Jones. I mean, he was last year. He was a great running back. They have a 2-back system, but I feel like it's leaning back more towards Aaron Jones. Like, I feel like they started the season a little bit like more split than they should have been. But they're healthy over there in Green Bay. They don't have wide receivers, so they're going to need to depend on them as a little bit more to start winning these games. I mean, they're back-to-back rough losses for Green Bay, so they need to figure it out. They need to give Aaron Jones some more touches, and I feel like he's going to jump up on the list.
Packers need to get better.
Yeah, I mean, as an organization for sure. But Chad, take over back where you were at.
Yeah, you ready? You
Yeah.
alive?
So yeah, so dude, I don't know what happened. Like my voice just totally cut out of nowhere. All right, so most likely to sustain, which I believe is where I was at.
Yep.
It's probably Leonard Fournette. I mean, as long as he stays healthy, I just sort of feel like he's just right where he's gonna be. Like he's a workhorse. He's always gonna get you that 15 to 20 point range every single game. I don't really see him, mix in one big game with one, lower expectation or lower than what projected game, and it kind of balances it out. He's the one that I just feel like just stays right where he's at. Most likely to drop in ranking. I think Adam, you said Nick Chubb, and I think I'm going to agree with you here. Right, you said Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I said Nick Chubb. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason that I just feel that way is just there because of Kareem Hunt's also there, and also because I am going to also say rise in ranking. I agree. Christian McCaffrey is. I think moving to San Francisco, there's a possibility that we see McCaffrey end this season as the number 1 overall running back in the NFL in fantasy. He is so suited for that offense. It's gonna be interesting to see because the thing is that they have a bunch of other dudes who can catch, but they also have Garoppolo can throw the ball. It's not like he's a scrub. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just feel like that just gives him he's a major weapon, and he's definitely healthy. So I don't know. Yeah, that's all I got there.
Yeah, I mean the top 3 at the end of the season is probably not going to be someone that everyone expected, but also expected. I mean, like Saquon sitting there, Christian McCaffrey sitting there. Last year, everyone drafted him high, and then they got hurt. This year, everyone drafted him decently high again, and they're actually sustaining and doing what they need to do. So, I mean, I think there's no surprise there. I think the Breece Hall is just the biggest surprise out of everything. And
it's a pleasant surprise to get a new name in the mix.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, and we're not seeing the same people we saw last year for the majority part. I mean, there's no Jonathan Taylor on the list. There's no DeAndre Swift on the list. There's no Najee Harris on the list.
I think Henderson was way up at the top.
Yeah, Henderson was going crazy last year, and I mean, the Rams need to figure out their backfield because you can't play anybody from the Rams backfield.
I don't think Cam Akers is going to play there anymore.
Hopefully he just stops playing because
they're trying to trade him.
I think he's done.
Or maybe he goes to the Bills or something, and then he can figure it out. But But yeah, let's jump over to our next list. Right here, we starting with wide receiver core. We got Stephon Diggs sitting at number one, Cooper Kupp number two, Tyreek Hill number three, Justin Jefferson number four. I don't think there's any surprise there personally. Out of your top four, and then we got five, which is Marcus Brown, six Jamar Chase, seven Jalen Waddle, eight Devonte Adams, and nine AJ Brown. I'll go ahead and take this one over
Yeah,
first.
let you
Marquise
start.
Brown is my biggest surprise on the list. Just because I know Hopkins was gone, and I knew how well Marquise Brown and Kyler Murray like worked with each other in college. But I did not expect this kind of performance out of him so fast. I mean, unfortunately, he took an injury late in the game this week, so he's going to be sitting on IR, I believe, for at least 6 weeks,
Yeah,
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. But him being in that number five spot, it's definitely surprising to me. It's gonna even I feel like even with DeAndre Hopkins back though, like I don't think Marquise Brown would have kept up the performance. I mean, you saw it on Thursday night's game. Every target went to D Hop. I mean, he had more targets than the rest of the whole team combined. That's just his guy, you know. So and then most likely to sustain, I'm gonna go. I have to go with Cooper Cup. I mean, he's a cheat code. He showed it last year. He's showing it again this year. I don't care if the Rams get blown out. Man still finds a way to get 30 points, and he's just gonna keep doing it. I mean, as long as he stays healthy, and that kid, I don't think he's ever had a problem with being healthy. Knock on wood. But I don't want to wish that on such a great receiver. But most likely to drop in ranking, it might be AJ Brown for me. Just because I feel like there's other better receivers out there. You guys did talk about Jalen Hurts, and we don't think the Eagles are going to be doing as good as they're doing right now. So I do see a lack of performance with AJ Brown coming up, and he's already on the cups of being out of the top nine. So I see him dropping out. I still think he'll get the yards. He just doesn't get the end zone touches. And with PPR league, he does need like the end zone touches. That's going to be your big amount of points. And then most likely to rise in ranking. Oh man, I have to go with Jamar Chase. Like I think this
Hmm.
kid is a top three wide receiver. He showed it last year. I think he's just going to
Hmm.
rise up now that he's going to get those connections with Joe Burrow. But City's the top.
I disagree with top three. I don't think that you can put Jamar Chase over Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, or Stephon Diggs.
I mean, we got
I mean, come on, dude. They're not Chase is not the volume receiver that those other four are.
I mean, true, but I mean, the amounts of times like he's gonna get those breakaways for 50 yards and just have phenomenal games. I think he's gonna. I think he could crack into the top three, especially. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be hard. I mean, okay, top five for sure. I mean, he's sitting on that cusp right now, but like, there's
I'm
so
good
many.
with top five.
Yeah, there's so many good receivers. I mean, like the four I listed at the beginning, like those are the top four, and they got drafted like the top four. You know, like
Yeah.
those guys are guys you took early as a wide receiver,
Hmm.
and they're paying off. So I don't see. Yeah, I see him being in the top five, but I feel like anybody in that top five can switch around at any point because they're all capable of having insane games.
Yeah.
But we did lose Nick, unfortunately. Hopefully he can be back. But let's go over to you, Chad.
Okay. And just to state, like, I love Jamar Chase. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, in my like preseason list, he's number 5. No, just so you know that. Like, when
Yeah,
I was putting my little list together, he literally was number 5 for me. And the order that it's in right now was not mine was Cup 1, Diggs 2, Hill 3, Jefferson 4, and then Chase 5.
yeah. I
So,
mean, those are
and
those are
I
the
actually
best
had
five
Waddle 6
receivers.
too.
Yeah, those are the best five receivers currently, and it's just like it's by far, in my opinion, because I mean they're they're just different breed of guys. Like you could double coverage them, you can do whatever you want to them, and they still manage to get points on you. It's insane.
Yeah, it's like they're literally cheat codes. So all right, so my biggest surprise in this list is like Marquise Brown. I mean, I'm a Marquise Brown owner for more than one season. I've always, kind of been a fan of him. I guess I just didn't expect him and Kyler to like just get off the top five receiver in the league type of start. And what's frustrating about it, because the Cardinals are my number two team, like what's frustrating about it is that like we didn't get to see we really didn't get to see Hopkins and Brown play side by side because if Kyler was connecting that much with Marquise Brown and Kyler connects with Zach Ertz and you have him connecting with with Hopkins, it's like damn. And then you have Kyler who can move out of the pocket and run for 25 yards at any point in time. You're just like, oh damn, we would have been like a pretty, and then throw Robbie Anderson, like, because then you can just throw Hopkins in the slot where he's just lethal.
Yeah. I would.
Um,
It's kind of sad to see because Marquise Brown is a deep threat. So like
uh-huh.
I feel like these first 6 games he couldn't be that deep threat because they're double covering him. With
Yeah.
Hopkins coming back, Hopkins would take the double coverage, and then all of a sudden it opens up Marquise Brown to just do what he does, run down the field
Yep.
and launch it 60 yards.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad not to see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Anyways, all right. So most likely to sustain, um, despite the fact that I have Cooper Cup, uh, my answer to this question is that Josh Allen isn't having receiver problems. The Bills look a lot fucking better. Oops,
You're good. You're
sorry.
good. No, you can cuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The Bills look a lot better than the Rams do right now. Right. And there is no doubt in anybody's mind anywhere in the world that Stephon Diggs is Josh Allen's guy.
Yeah.
So for me right now, Stephon Diggs is undoubtedly the guy who's gonna sustain. He is gonna end the year as the receiver. That is why most likely to drop in ranking. My answer here, without it being Marquise Brown because he's injured, is Devontae Adams. I just don't really think the Raiders are that good. I don't think that. I don't know. I just don't. I mean, he's good and everything, but I actually think that AJ Brown is going to have a better year than him at the end of the year, just because the Eagles are better and he has better people. Aside from maybe Renfro coming back frees Adams up a little bit more, but we'll see. And my most likely to rise in ranking is it's probably Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
I mean, just because he's default, and I do think that Chase, it's possible if he has like some psycho crazy games, he could, maybe move past like, maybe Jefferson or Hill, but that it's still Chase. He'll end up this season as number 5.
Yeah, I mean that top 5 is just going to be so like competitive. I feel like they're just going to switch places every week. At that point,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
he does have a little gap between him and the top 5, or the current top 4. But I mean, we've seen like last year where he put up 45 points in a game. So I feel like he can kind of chase them down and get a little closer to where every week it's flip flopping. But yeah, I feel like those guys are going to be the top 5 for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Nick, are you still with us?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He's back.
My computer shit the bed a little bit, so I had to jump back in. So I didn't hear a lot of what you guys said. So this I may be agreeing or disagreeing with you. I have no idea. My biggest surprise on the list actually is AJ Brown.
Okay.
I did not expect to see him just because of past seasons. You know what I mean? He wasn't a reliable wide receiver in past seasons. So the fact that he's on here, like, good for him, still surprised me a bit. Just from what I figured on the season,
Yeah.
Most likely to sustain. I'm not going to go with Cooper Cup. I have to go with Diggs, only because Josh Allen is that much better of a quarterback. I that's all it is. I think they're both going to sustain. I think they're both just going to go off all season, but Josh Allen is not having any problems. So barring a Josh Allen injury, which I don't even want to put that knock on wood, right?
Yeah, knock on some wood.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I'm gonna say. Most likely to drop in the rate. I'm gonna say Jamar Chase, and I know that's unpopular opinion, but I think the fact that Higgins is back, people have seen what he can do. I think he's going to take a little bit of that. It's going to work one of two ways. Either he's going to take some of Chase's work, or they're going to take off the double team and split it a little bit more, and it's going to help Chase out. So with the T. Higgins situation being off injury, it's going to go one of two ways, but I think he might move slightly down, and T. Higgins might almost come back up.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's
bold.
strange.
It's bold, but like Jamar Chase is his guy. But when Jamar Chase is covered, Joe Burrow is smart enough to dump the ball to somebody else. He's not going to force the ball to Jamar Chase. So because Joe Burrow doesn't want to make bad decisions, I can see that definitely happening. But if these other receivers just start lighting up secondaries, they're not going to be able to double team Chase every time. So I think that's where he's going to get his from. And like Jamar Chase is special, man. Like you give that guy the ball at 15 yards, he's running it for another 40 yards. So as long as he gets those, I think he'll be fine. But it's definitely gonna Higgins back is gonna impact it a little bit, but I still think he's gonna be a top 5 guy.
Yeah, most definitely. And moving up, this one was the hardest one for me. I think it's going to be Justin Jefferson because the fact that he's 4th when he's had a couple bad games, he's got Kirk Cousins throwing to him. like if you can be in 4th when you got Kirk Cousins throwing to you, like I think he had those couple bad games, and so I think he should honestly be higher than he even is right now, just because the Vikings shit the bed, not him.
Yeah. No, I mean that's definitely because I mean he did have like 2 weeks. I think he dropped like 4 points each week, and he's still 4th on the list. So that's that's respectable for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but that's all I got on this one. You want to move to who's next?
Oh, tight ends. This one's gonna be
I think we're back to me leading off in this one.
Yeah, I'll just run down the list real quick. We have Kelsey at number 1, obviously. Mark Andrews at number 2, obviously. Then we got some surprising ones here. We got Zach Ertz, number 3. Taysom Hill. It shows that he's in 4th, but he was in 8th place last week. This is previous because the Saints did play on Thursday. So it'd be Goddard, Hockenson, Njoku, Higbee, then it would be Hill, then Everett. All right. So that's rounding off our top 9. So go ahead, Chad, take it away.
All right. The biggest surprise on this list, I mean, probably got to be Zach Ertz, right? I mean, even though like I drafted him, I definitely didn't have him being the number 3 overall. I had him being like the number 6 to 8 overall tight end in the NFL. So to have him up at the 3 spot for me was definitely the biggest surprise. The most likely to sustain is Travis Kelce. He's just the cheat code tight end. He's one of the highest scoring players in the NFL, not just in tight end. Like he's one of the highest scoring offensive players in the league right now.
Yeah.
Most likely to drop in ranking, probably Hockenson. I mean, he's so inconsistent. It's like that number that he has there is so padded by one ginormous game.
Yeah.
What did he score 40 points in that game?
Yeah, he scored 40 points 1 week. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 week, 40 points. I mean, so just think about how, and I think it was 42 points if I'm not mistaken. So you're talking that in the other 5 weeks, you're taking 23 points divided by 5. It's such an inflated stat.
Yeah.
He's the most likely to drop in ranking, and the most likely to rise in ranking is probably Higby. Just because Stafford just needs to start using weapons that will catch the ball, and Higby is semi reliable, and they just need to do something. So I'm just gonna go with Higby has the best chance to move up 2 or 3 spots.
Okay. All right. So I will go with biggest surprise on the list is got to be Taysom Hill for me. Just because I mean he's just
Is he really a tight end?
yeah, he's not a tight end, so like it's skewed, but like but then again, it's also with that kind of the Hawkinson thing. He had one great week where he scored, I believe, like 33 points, and so like if you look at it, I mean, sitting at 73 points, so that's 40 points over another 5 weeks.
Before this week, he was also at 63.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So he got like 10 points this week. So I mean, that's 30 points over the last 5 weeks. I mean, it can't be consistent over there. But the good side thing is like they use him for everything. Like the guy is a Swiss Army knife. So like, if you ever want to take a chance, if you don't have one of the top 3 tight ends, he's a guy you can flex in that spot and hope for a high ceiling, but just know his floor is like 4 points a game. So like, I mean, but that's pretty much every tight end at this point, besides the top 3. Most likely to sustain. I'm gonna have to go with Ertz. I mean, he's already showed it all season. Like he's consistent 10 to 15 point guy a week. This last week he didn't have as much points as usual, but I mean that's what D Hop's coming back. Kyler Murray was trying to get on the same page with him, feeding him the rock. Defenses are gonna kind of try to shut down D Hop, so Ertz is gonna come open in the middle of the field. So I feel like he's gonna be sustainable right there at number 3. I don't see another tight end passing him. I don't see him passing the other 2. So I think he's gonna sustain his spot like right at 3. Most likely to drop in ranking is got to be Hawkinson as well. I mean, he's had one big game, and he did this last season too. He had one big game, and then the rest of the season he was literal dog shit. I mean, I had like 3 weeks where he dropped 0 points last year, and I mean, as good as Detroit looked scoring points at the beginning of the season, they don't look good anymore. So I just have him coming off that list. But I mean, with him already scoring that amount of points, it'd be probably a while until he gets off the list because other tight ends are just not scoring points. Most likely to rise in rating, I could see Everett rising up. Just because Justin Herbert needs that safety valve. His wide receivers haven't been as healthy as they usually are. They're not. I mean, with Keenan Allen coming back, it's going to open up the alley for other avenues, and Everett is a decent tight end. I mean, last year he was decent. This year, I mean, I feel like he can have those 10 to 15 point games and keep you comfortable. But yeah, I think he can rise up a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty much my tight end. I mean, the most likely to sustain is always going to be Kelsey and Andrews. I mean, if you don't have them in your league, you're pretty much swapping out tight ends based on matchups. It's just they're just ridiculous. They should be labeled as wide receivers because it's ridiculous. Like Kelsey doesn't even block. Like fuck that guy. But yeah, that's pretty much my list for tight ends.
So it's kind of funny. In the beginning, we were all agreeing quarterbacks. You know, it's the same thing. But biggest surprise on here, Njoku.
Okay.
I didn't see it happening, especially with the quarterback situation they got going over there with everything that's going on. You know, I'm surprised he's here. Not that I'm surprised of his talent. I'm just surprised that somebody from Cleveland is here.
Yeah, definitely.
But most likely to sustain. The only people you can go with, and you're 100% correct when you said it, is Kelsey or Andrews. I mean, otherwise you're gonna swap some people out. I mean, they're just monsters, and it's because of their system. Now, maybe with McCaffrey going in, Kittle might be able to block a little bit less. It might open it up a little bit more. Kittle might make his way back onto this list, but really, those two are your consistencies. As far as dropping, we're across the board. We agree, Hawkinson, but minus that one game, it's really. But also, I see Taysom Hill dropping once they get Winston back. I think they won't have him sub in because that's most of his points. Taysom Hill's he's got rushing points, he's got passing because they put him in at quarterback. I mean, I think he's got return points if they allow that in the league. So,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
he's like the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, a punt returner. Who knows what he's doing?
Sometimes I see him up in the booth calling plays. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
he was a towel boy on 3 plays last week. It's so weird.
He handled the media and relations department just today. It was crazy.
He's crazy. But that's always we're gonna agree dropping is Hawkinson. Most likely to rise though. It's hard to say Ertz, but I want to say Ertz because, like you said, D Hop coming back, it's gonna open up more for Ertz. But you can't rise much more than he's already at. He's hit the ceiling where he's going because with Andrews and Kelsey, it's like let's start 2 lists. Okay, you got these 2 up here, and then let's start a second list of who can rise. Um, really, it's anybody's. But I agree with what you're saying with Everett. I think with Keenan Allen coming back, Everett will have a better chance, and also, like you said, he's a decent tight end. So I could see him rising up a little bit, especially with, I mean, Hawkinson, Hill, and Njoku, I think, dropping down. I think Everett can move up easily.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because
Mhm.
they're all
Agree.
right there on that bubble. I mean, except for the top two, and
Right.
Ertz is pulling away from the bubble. Like I said, Taysom Hill already played his game this week, and so like he's got a little elevated, so he'll probably drop back down in the list. But yeah, I mean, just with the tight end position, it's so flaky. So this could change by the end of the season, other than the top three, And so
Mhm.
at the end of the season, it could be fucking Taysom Hill still on this list, or he could be tight end 56. So we never know.
Barring OBJ going to Kansas City, Kelsey's going to stay up at the top. I think OBJ might take a little bit from Kelsey. Maybe Kelsey's Kelsey, so he's still
Yeah.
gonna get his.
I mean, he had
But
4 touchdowns with 25 yards. Like, even if OBJ comes in and runs it for, or catches a pass for 50 yards, Patrick Mahomes is going to Kelsey in the end zone
yeah,
because he's just a big target. He's going to catch the ball. He's different.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, tight ends is kind of a hard one to judge because these top two guys separate everybody, and it used to be Kittle up there as well, like you made a comment, but Kittle's nowhere to be seen, unfortunately. I mean,
Nah.
he's got Jimmy G throwing him the ball, but
honestly, I think with uh Christian McCaffrey, I think Kittle's numbers might start going up.
I mean, hopefully, I mean, because I
Yeah,
know a lot of people grabbed him early because, I mean, like I said,
yeah,
if you usually don't have one of those top three tight ends, you're scrambling for a tight end. So someone wasted, or not wasted, but someone grabbed him early, and instead of like a running back or a wide receiver, they could have got to help out their team more this year. They went with Kittle, and he's been definitely underperforming.
for sure.
Mhm.
Let's go over. I mean, this one is just kickers.
Hold
Um,
on, hold on. I prepared for this,
you
man.
prepare for this one?
Yeah. Biggest surprise on this list, honestly, and I'm gonna go over it, is Suck Up. Um, Tampa Bay's been shit in the bed, and he's had to come in and kind of save them. Um, Likely to sustain Carlson. He's not going anywhere. Carlson is a monster. He does not miss. I think he's going to stay up there. Probably going to drop is honestly I think Mayer because the Cowboys are now getting some of their firepower back a little bit. But to
Yeah,
rise in
they're gonna score
ranking,
more.
yeah, to rise in ranking, I mean anybody any week with kickers.
Yeah.
I'm
It's-
surprised, honestly. I know injury, but I'm surprised to not see Prater up here.
Yeah, but he's been injured most of the season,
Mhm.
so. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, the biggest surprise on this list has got to be probably I don't even know, like maybe Jacoby Myers, because I mean Seattle, they've been scoring a lot, so like he's getting his points mostly off of like extra points. So for him to be on there is kind of shocking. I mean, he's nailing his field goals when he needs to, which is good. I mean, he's sitting right there at 54, right in
Mhm.
the middle of the pack of everybody. Everyone's like within 1 point from each other. So he's a little surprised on it. I didn't expect Seattle to even get into field goal range this year. So, yeah, so he's a surprise for sure. Most likely sustain. I mean, it's got to be Carlson. He's doing it again. He's number
Mhm.
one kicker. So, I mean, with how bad Las Vegas looks, they need a number one kicker over there. Most likely to drop in ranking. I mean, probably New Orleans, because if they get Winston back, I think they're actually going to start scoring some touchdowns instead of relying on their field goals. Most likely to rise. He's not on this list, but I think Young Hoku. I mean, last year he was like top two kicker, and man could nail him from 60 yards. But the fact is that like in the Crazy Point League, he goes for those 60 yards. So like if he misses it, it hurts me. But I mean, he's an amazing kicker. Um, I'm surprised that he's not on this list. He must be just like right on the bubble. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's pretty much as far as kickers go for me.
Yeah.
Fair. I think the biggest surprise on this list is probably Graham Gano. If you watched the Giants' offense last year, which there was none of, if you actually, no, so it's not even a joke. If you go look at the Giants' like last 10 games of the season, it's some of like the statistically worst offense I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like it's embarrassing. It's like really go look it up one day. It's crazy.
Thing.
Um, yeah. Most likely to sustain as Carlson. The dude's ridiculous. He does this every single year. Like he's like the only cheat code that's guaranteed for a kicker.
Mhm.
Most likely to drop in ranking. I'm gonna agree with Nick here. Uh, Cowboys are gonna start scoring more. So his field goals and those four 5 point plays are going to become 1 point plays pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And the most likely to rise in ranking is for me right now, Graham Goodell. The Giants are getting some of their younger, quicker speed guys back, and I think that their offensive line is getting better. And that team, they're 5-1. You can't deny them anymore. And I just think that you're gonna see him just continue to kick field goals. The dude doesn't miss. I think he's got like an active streak going right now, or maybe that streak just ended this season. Like I don't even know. It was like 50 something kicks inside of 40 in a row or something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was something pretty ridiculous. But he's I think that the Giants offense actually improves, and the Giants. I watch the Giants, and it literally they're like a spitting image of what the Bills do. So it's kind of
Hold
just
on.
like
Who watches the Giants?
He's a Giants fan.
Ugh.
That's like watching the Cowboys. Ugh.
yeah, I'm a diehard Giants fan.
Who would have thought the NFC East would be the best division in the NFC?
Literally nobody. Right? Like it's crazy. That's what's so crazy about it. It's just like who saw the NFC East after how they looked last year? Who saw them being like the best?
Hold on. How they look since 1998? Like you not say last year.
Oh, but who would have thought? But I mean,
it's crazy. I mean, sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. There's not much to talk about kickers. I mean, kickers are kind of
No.
that's that guy you put in that spot. But if you don't have like Carlson or Tucker, you really just drop them that week on their bye week and pick up another one.
I don't have Carlson on the Crazy League. because I
Yeah.
follow the rules, Adam.
Yeah, you should probably look in the loopholes. It's crazy.
Okay.
So now we're going up against defenses. We got Bills at number 1, San Francisco 49ers at number 2, Patriots at number 3, Eagles, Cardinals, Buccaneers,
No.
Cowboys.
Cardinals.
Hold on, Broncos, Jaguars. So Cardinals are actually ranked 13th. So they played this Thursday, which they scored 17 points, which brought them all the way up to 5th place. But that will adjust out as now next week. But I mean, with 2 defensive touchdowns, they got to be in this list for at least right now. Go
Get them out of there.
go ahead and take it away, Chad. We'll start off with you with the defenses.
Yeah.
All right. So the biggest surprise, I mean, probably the Jaguars. Like, I mean, they gave up a bajillion points last year, the Jaguars, and so to even see them anywhere in the top 15 is pretty mind blowing for me. Yeah, I just didn't see them. I just figured there would be teams that would be higher ranked than them.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. The most likely to sustain is it's probably the Bills, honestly. Like I mean that team is just so good. You know what I'm like? I mean, they're just such a balanced team. Like it's like I mean, imagine having the number 1 defense, the number 1 quarterback, the number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. If that's not balanced, I don't know what is. So yeah, the most likely to drop in ranking is it's actually kind of bad. Probably the Broncos. The team sucks.
But
that's
they
it.
don't
But they have
play.
they have a great defense though. I mean, their
Nobody
offense
scores
sucks.
a lot of points against them.
Yeah, they keep games close, but just their offense can't perform.
Yeah, but if they keep playing 40 of the 60 minutes every single week, right?
Yeah,
People are gonna start getting hurt.
yeah. No,
It's just
definitely,
it's just the
definitely.
reality of it because that offense can't stay on the field.
Yeah,
Like
I feel you. I feel you.
And the most likely to rise in ranking, probably the Cowboys defense. The Cowboys got dudes who just are ball hawks in that secondary. And they have a good defense. You know, they have a good pass rush too. So I just think that the Cowboys are just that team. They force turnovers. They make that defense makes plays happen. So that's who I'd rise in.
Okay. Go ahead, Nick.
Okay, biggest surprise on this list, and I'm gonna agree, is the Jaguars. I don't know how they made it on this list, and especially the Cardinals aren't even supposed to be there. So there's somebody on this list below them. It's like it blows my mind. Like I don't even know who's supposed to be there,
Mhm.
but the fact that they would have been above someone, it just I didn't see it happening. So, but I'm gonna agree with you again. Most likely to sustain the Bills. You couldn't have said it any freaking better. They are so well rounded. Their offense makes enough to where their defense doesn't have to be on the field. Their defense does well enough to where they force 3 and outs to get their offense back on the field. Like
Mhm.
Bills defense is just it's animals.
Yeah, they're disgusting. Especially with the addition of Von Miller, they just got even better.
Yeah. Yeah, he's making a fucking difference. He's that good.
Yeah.
He's like a commander. He's like he's honestly like an all-time great linebacker.
Yeah,
Like
anywhere
really.
he's at, it's happening.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Mhm.
Most likely to drop, and I know this is unpopular belief, but 49ers.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Only because they've got Christian McCaffrey there. They're going to have a more well-rounded offense. I think they're going to get less chances. The defense is going to be forced to carry the game less.
Okay.
And I know that sounds ass backwards, but
Yeah.
I just think with the moves they're making, I think their defense is going to drop slightly.
Okay.
and that's just me. And for almost the same reason, but not quite, most likely to rise, I'm gonna agree, is the Cowboys. They have an insane defense. Their defense is better than their offense, and their offense is fucking solid. You know, especially fantasy wise, the Cowboys, whether you love them or not, whether you hate them or not, they score you some fantasy points.
Mhm.
Prescott, you know, he's fucking terrible as a quarterback, but he'll get you some fantasy points. You know, with CeeDee Lamb, I mean, if they can get especially Dalton Schultz back on, it will force the Cowboys to get off the field a little bit more, which will give their insanely good defense a little bit more of a chance to make those huge plays because they're not tired. So it,
Yep.
I'm bringing 49ers down and the Cowboys up for the exact same reason. Makes no sense, but it makes sense to me.
Okay. I mean, biggest surprise on the list, obviously, it's going to be the Jaguars, but I'm going to go in a different direction, because I mean, I look at this list, and I remember fantasy football last year. The Bills had a great defense last year. The 49ers had a great defense last year. The Patriots had a great defense last year. The Cardinals were a top 10 defense last year. The Buccaneers were a top 10. The Cowboys were a top 10. The Broncos were a top 10. The only one I didn't say were the Eagles, because the Eagles did not have a great defense last year. They just scored a lot of points, but they gave up a lot of points. And with going with that, I think they're most likely to drop in ranking because, I mean, their offense is going to get figured out. Once their offense gets figured out and they stop scoring so many points, I mean, you can see it in the last 2 games. They didn't score as many points as they did the first 4 games. Their defense was on the field more. They got ran against more. That opened up the passing more. I feel like they've had a couple big defensive games in fantasy football, but other than that, they've just been mid. So I don't think they're going to sustain where they're at. I don't think they're a top 4 defense at all. I think
They
maybe
were first.
yeah,
for the first,
yeah. At one point they were first, second defense.
so they've already stopped.
So I think they're going to start their decline down because I think just the offense over at Philly is going to get figured out, and I don't see them maintaining that level. I mean, they have already shown that they've given up points, you know, and a lot of close games. They've been like they're 6-0, but I don't have faith in their defense like I could say a lot of these other teams. Most likely to sustain, I would have to go with the Patriots. I mean, their offense is looking better. They could run the ball. They could keep their defense off the field. They've put up a couple big games already, and I mean, it's Bill Belichick. Like he's known for his fucking defense. So they're like I don't think I can name one defensive player over there, but I can know they're always good at defense. Like they're gonna keep teams to scoring field goals on them, and as long as they can score a couple touchdowns, they're winning games. And so I see the Patriots being the most likely to stay in that top 3 spot. I mean, the Bills obviously the easiest answer to say sustain because they're just different. But I don't see them getting out of number 1. So most likely to I said the most likely to drop is the Eagles. Most likely to rise. Oh man.
Say it.
No, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Buccaneers.
Say it.
Because it's a matter of time before they figured out that offense. They got all the wide receivers healthy. Tom Brady just starts slinging the rock again, and you know how he can eat up the clock. He's going to eat up the clock for fucking 10 minutes out of the 15-minute quarter. Their defense is going to stay off the field. When they get on the field, they're going to be healthy. So I think they're going to rise up there a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the defenses that are good they're good last year. Most of them just got better this year. So it's not a big surprise here that the Bills are the number 1 defense. But I mean, that's our last list going over everybody. I mean, there was a couple shocking stuff around the league, but overall, especially like in our wide receiver core, the top 5 guys were the top 5 guys everyone expected. I feel like in running backs, there was a big change to what everyone thought the top 5 were going to be, especially with like no Jonathan Taylor on the list. I mean, Derrick Henry's scraping on the bottom of that list in like 8th place. So
wasn't he out like how many weeks last year, and he was still leading.
Yeah, he was
Like,
out. He was out for like 3 weeks, and he was still number one for those
yeah.
3 weeks. It was insane.
hmm Okay, so last question here.
Okay.
Super Bowl. Who you calling in the Super Bowl, and who is in last place?
Ooh. You want to fill this one
Give
first,
me
Chad, or me?
give me 2 teams in the Super Bowl.
And who comes up
So
last place?
obviously you got to go your NFC, AFC,
Yeah, yeah.
and then
Well,
who you.
I think as it sits right now, and the Bills just proved that they could beat Kansas City. I think the Bills are pretty much my lock in for the Super Bowl in the AFC. It's a lot harder in the NFC. I think a couple of the teams that have a good record in the NFC are facing a little bit of easier schedule. I feel like they're going to get woken up once the playoffs come. But I could see, man, it's just so hard in the NFC right now. But I wouldn't be surprised with Christian McCaffrey going to the 49ers. And if they stay healthy on offense, get Trey Lance back, I could see them making a run. Especially because they've proven that they can get into the playoffs, play great teams, and perform against those teams. Because the Rams don't look like a threat that they were last year. And that's who took them out last year. So I think the 49ers have a good chance to go all the way in the NFC. And last place, I mean, I got to go with the Carolina Panthers. You can see they're blowing up their team. I don't expect them to win another game this year. So I could see them getting last place, especially with a couple of their other teams already securing some wins. So yeah, that's gonna be my last place team. I think they're getting a lot of draft picks this year for trades, and they're going to end up having the first draft pick next year based on the performance.
Okay. Chad, you want to go, or you want me to?
Yeah, no, I got it. I'm just gonna answer the last place one because there's nothing else to say. Adam said it. That's it. It's the Carolina Panthers. They are the worst team in the NFL. Baker Mayfield is not good. They just traded their, two of their offensive weapons, and I mean, yeah, I guess DJ Moore is good, but
He's probably
give me the
getting
year
traded
that
soon
he really,
too.
Yeah.
but he's never been like a massive fantasy player. He's been a middle of the road guy,
A
his whole
flex
career.
option some weeks.
Yeah, like, and you hope that he gets you 15. So,
Right.
that's that. I think Super Bowl. I know this sounds crazy, but the Bills, right? And
I don't think anybody
this is
is saying anything but the Bills at this point in time.
yeah.
Like,
So
with your
but
AFC, you have
that's
to.
not my crazy part. Yeah, that's not my crazy part. That's the easy. The AFC is honestly like the answer for the AFC and the worst team are like kind of just set in stone at this point. And if
Right.
you're not sure about the Bills, okay, cool. Flip flop the Chiefs in there. Sounds good.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But I think I honestly think that in the NFC, I think if the Giants can maintain this momentum.
Be
Hold on,
happy you lost me.
hear me out. I know you listen, I know you're a Cowboys fan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so listen, I like Dak Prescott. This is my problem with I don't like the Eagles. I like nobody on the Eagles, right? My problem is I like CeeDee Lamb. I like Dak Prescott. I like Zeke. Like I like Pollard. You know what I'm
Keep
saying?
going.
Yeah, like I don't really hate this Cowboys team right now. So it's just like my problem with the Cowboys is it's just like it's almost a joke this team at this time. It's like you guys get in and then get to the playoffs and it's like this team just falls apart.
They're like you.
Yeah.
Damn, that shot. He's complimenting your team, and you take a shot at him. It's crazy.
But like, this is what I will say though. Honestly, watching the Giants play, I don't know if I've ever seen a team make the second half adjustments that the Giants make, and they are just like I mean, this team is going into the second half, and it's like they have calculated their entire game plan out. Bro, the Giants held the Packers to 2 points in the second half of a football game. I mean, that is. With or without Devontae Adams, that is unbelievable, right? And it's because I just made those adjustments. And my only thought process is just like when the Giants went 9-7 and went all the way to the Super Bowl. If this Giants team can make it into the playoffs, I believe that they are well coached enough to make a run and not win because they are a great team, but because their second half adjustments allow them to be a good enough team to maybe win the game a few times in a row, like it has happened this year for them. That's it. It's the only reason I'm going to put the Giants in, and that's it. It can falter in any one game, but the NFC is super up in the air to me right now because I think that we don't really know how good the Cowboys are. And I think that the defense, like you said, gets a lot better with that Prescott coming because, Rush isn't the guy.
No.
Sorry.
The reason they won these many games is because of the defense.
Right, exactly.
For sure.
And defenses do win championships.
Yeah, well, he did enough to sustain. You got to give him credit for what he did because he's not Dak Prescott. Okay, like he is we all saw it. But like I don't know. That's what I got.
All right.
So
Nick.
I'm saying, I mean, we're in agreement. Bills, Chiefs, Panthers. We don't have to discuss that. I think whoever wins the NFC East has. I'm saying it, and he just said the same thing, only in a much longer sentence. Whoever wins the NFC East, I think is going. Here's my one, and I'm going to throw in a wild card. And I'm talking, this is fucking crazy wild.
I can't wait.
Vikings.
Oh.
I don't think that's wild at all.
I mean, they don't have the best defense, but I mean, they're connecting on the offense. They have a good enough defense.
They have Kirk Cousins,
and they're 5-1 right now.
They're 5-1. They're the same as the Giants, 5-1. They're the Vikings are 5-1. Giants are 5-1. I mean, obviously the Eagles are 6-0. Bills are 5-1. Like their name's up there. So
I had the Vikings as my number 2 seed this year. FYI.
Number 2 seed, huh?
Yes, I did in the NFC. Yeah, I had them as my number 2 seed. I think that Kirk Cousins is one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. This guy throws for 30 touchdowns every single season, and nobody, and with low interceptions, by the way, and nobody talks about this guy. Nobody.
Yeah.
Is fantasy value, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
You're good.
His fantasy value, he is so consistent. You're going to get 10 to 15 from him every week. You're not going to see a crazy week with Kirk. I mean, every once in a while with, Jefferson and
he'll have those connections. Like he'll get like 22 points, like, and that's a great week for him.
You can expect, I'll say 12 to 15 from Kirk Cousins every week. His fantasy value is so consistent, but he's so much better than people give him credit for, and it's insane to me.
See, my only problem with the Vikings and Kirk Cousins is, I mean, time after time, Kirk Cousins has shown that he cannot play in prime time. Like, whenever the Vikings play in prime time, man looks like Baker Mayfield. And I'm not capping. Like, you can look up his statistics on Monday nights, Thursday nights, Sunday nights. Yep. The Vikings look like a totally different team. So, like, if they can make it into the playoffs, I have no doubt they'll make it into the playoffs
Mhm.
because their division is not that strong.
Absolutely.
So I have no doubt that they make it into the playoffs. But my doubt is when they're in the playoffs. Like I don't see them making the run. And like I know you guys are both from the NFC East, and you guys could say it's biased, but I don't have faith in any NFC East team this year. You guys all have the easiest schedule this year. So like I wouldn't put it past that you guys make 3 teams into the playoffs. But I think the number 1 seed that comes out of the NFC West, which was most likely going to be the 49ers, can take down all 3 of you guys' teams. Like I could see
It's gonna
them,
be the Cardinals.
huh? I don't see us I don't see us making first seed in the NFC West, but I see us making it into a wild card spot. But I don't see us like I mean, it's the same. It's almost the same thing with the Vikings. Like Cliff cannot. Like I don't have faith in him in prime time. Like I just don't trust his decision making abilities. I don't trust Kyler's decision making abilities when he needs to just throw the ball away sometimes. Like you scramble back there and you take a
He has
sack.
so much.
You have so much potential, man, and just if you just throw the ball away, give us a 3rd and 5th instead of a 2 and 15 or a 3rd and 15 because you take a sack trying to make a play. But if they could figure that out and we squeeze in as a wild card, I could see them making a run like they did in 08. But I just think, I mean, it's almost been consistent as like the AFC with an NFC West team making a run in the playoffs and going all the way. Like, was it the past 3 years? The team that out of the NFC West has gone on to the Super Bowl. So
hence why the NFC East is the answer, baby. Let's go.
And I wouldn't be surprised if like somehow fucking Tom Brady turns it around and sneaks into the playoffs and makes a run because I mean he's shown that he can do it. But yeah, I'm not on the NFC East train at all. Like I think you guys are a bunch of frauds.
yo, Nick, say it with me. Choo choo.
But I love you guys, and I love you guys, and I love that you guys love your teams, and I know Chad loves the Cardinals as well. But I'm a realist in Arizona. Like I'm used to the team doing well, and then just shit in the bed. I mean, we see it with the Suns every year. We see it with the Cardinals last year. I mean, it just happens. Forever cursed in Arizona. But yeah, I mean, I think this was a great podcast. We ran a little long, but I feel like this segment was awesome. I want to appreciate both of you guys for making this work on Friday night. I know you guys probably wanted to do some stuff, but we're here recording the podcast on Friday night. You guys will be watching this Saturday, and we'll be back to our normal schedule next week.
Yeah.
I want to thank Nick and Chad for spending some time with me this Friday night. Love you guys both, and we love you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment on who you guys think is the number 1 running for NFC, because I feel like a lot of people will agree with us. You can flip-flop the Chiefs and the Bills. A lot of people agree with us. Carolina's going to be the worst team this year, but yeah, we're interested in hearing what you guys have to say.
Absolutely.
All right, so thank you guys again, and bye YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye.